Welcome to what? Why can't I tickle myself? You see your body every single day. You know exactly how it moves, how it feels, how it works. But there's something your brain refuses to let you do, no matter how hard you try. Try to tickle yourself right now. Wiggle your fingers against your ribs. Stroke the bottom of your foot. Nothing. Even the most ticklish person on earth can't tickle themselves. And the reason reveals something deeply unsettling about how your brain constructs reality. There are actually two different kinds of tickling. Scientists call them nismesis and gargalysis, terms coined in 1897. Nismesis is the light, feather-like tickle, an ant crawling up your foot, that itching sensation that makes you want to scratch. It doesn't make you laugh. You can actually trigger this on yourself. Gargalysis is what we actually mean when we say tickle, the harder pressure. Repeated poking on sensitive areas like your ribs, your sides, the bottom of your feet. This is the kind that makes you tense up, jolt, and laugh involuntarily. And here's the thing, you cannot produce gargalysis on yourself. No matter how hard you try, your brain simply won't let it happen. The answer lies at the back of your brain in an area called the cerebellum. This ancient structure monitors your movements and, crucially, predicts what they'll feel like before they happen. When you reach for an object, your cerebellum anticipates how touching it will feel. When you're about to apply pressure to your own body, it sends signals telling your brain, here's when you're moving, here's where you're moving, here's how much pressure you're likely to apply. Here's where it gets strange. Your cerebellum communicates with other brain regions and tells them to reduce activity in the somatosensory cortex, the area that responds to touch and pressure. Since your brain has the exact information to execute and sense your own touch, it can cancel out the sensation. It calls your reaction to your own touch. This phenomenon has a technical name, sensory attenuation. Your brain predicts the sensory consequences of your movement based on the motor command, and when the prediction matches reality, it suppresses the effect. It's not just that you're not surprised, your brain is actively deleting the sensation before you become aware of it. And this isn't theory either. Researchers at University College London used functional MRI to watch what happens in real time. They scanned the brains of 16 volunteers who were tickled by a machine and by themselves. Two brain regions process how tickling feels, the somatosensory cortex for touch and the anterior cingulate cortex for pleasant information. Both regions are less active during self-tickling than when someone else tickles you. The somatosensory cortex shows increased activity in response to externally produced touch. The same activity doesn't appear after an identical self-produced stimulus. Your brain literally responds differently to the exact same physical touch depending on whether you caused it or someone else did. But here's where it gets really strange. The same UCL team built a robot to test this. People moved a mechanical arm with one hand, and that movement transferred to a second robot arm with foam that stroked their other hand. When people tickled themselves this way, they didn't rate it as very ticklish. But when the researchers added the delay of just 100 to 300 milliseconds between the movement and the touch, it felt a lot more ticklish. The longer the delay, the more tickly it became. After about 1/5 of a second, the self-tickling actually worked. The small time delay was enough to scupper the cerebellum's prediction. The brain couldn't match what it expected with what actually happened, so the tickle came through. You can tickle yourself if you're willing to invest in a couple of robots. Now, there is one group of people who can tickle themselves without a time delay, people with schizophrenia, suffering from delusions of control. These are people who feel their actions or sometimes their thoughts are not their own, but created for them by some external or alien force. When Blakemore and her colleagues asked schizophrenic patients to tickle themselves with the robot device, for those with delusions of control, the sensation was just as ticklish with no time delay as when the experimenter tickled them. The reason you can't tickle yourself offers clues to the mechanisms behind schizophrenia. One possible explanation for the voices heard by some schizophrenics is that the brain interprets its own thoughts as being someone else's voice. Healthy people with personality traits resembling schizophrenia also have reduced ability to predict how self-generated movements will feel. So why does your brain do this? Dr. Sarah Jane Blakemore says it's a survival mechanism that evolved so the brain pays proper attention to stimuli from potential predators. When you're walking through the forest, your brain needs to distinguish between the brush of your own hand against your leg and something crawling up your arm that might be venomous. This mechanism helps you distinguish self from non-self sensations. It optimises the way you interact with and understand the world around you. Your brain deletes most of what you experience before you ever become aware of it. Every moment, your cerebellum predicts your own touch, and your brain quietly suppresses it. You can't feel your own tickle because your brain refuses to let you. It's not a glitch, it's a feature. The deeper you go, the more unsettling it becomes. Because this isn't really about tickling. It's about the fragile illusion we call self. You're not experiencing reality directly. You're experiencing your brain's prediction of reality.
What?